Looks like we're live. Fantastic. Thank you, everyone. If anyone is joining in, but thank you. Thank you very much. We are here to present part 3 of our media literacy skills mini seminar series that we're doing this week as part of Media Literacy Week in Canada and the United States. My name is Jamie, and I'm joined with Drew. We are both instructors at CLA, Community Learning Alternatives, adult learning centers in Belleville, Trenton, and Madoc, Ontario. And we offer skills upgrading for employment, education, apprenticeship, and independence for individuals aged 19 plus. We help learners discover their strengths and improve their skills, and our staff can help you plan the next steps to reach your goals. And if you'd like some more information about what we do, absolutely completely free to learners, you can contact us at 613-962-9615 or email us at info@learnwithcla.ca. All right, now that we got the housekeeping out of the way, we can begin with today's content. And what we're looking at today as part of adding to your media skills arsenal is verifying the source of information that you're looking at when you're online. There's lots of information to consume, and it's important to take a look at where that information is coming from and whether you should believe it's a reliable source or not. So let's get into it. So whether you're looking at a website, a photo, or a video, or a news story, what really matters is whether or not the people who originally created it are trustworthy. You can't always confirm that something is fake, but if the source isn't reliable, you have reason, or you have the reason to believe it. And this is the only time when it matters what order you do these steps in. Reliable sources do sometimes share things that turn out to be true, and unreliable sources sometimes share things that are true. So that's why you shouldn't bother verifying a source until you know for sure where the information originally came from. So when you do, you need to ask yourself 3 questions. First, does this source really exist? We saw earlier how easily it is to make fake pictures online. And it's just as easy to make a fake website or a social media profile or a social media page. Second, are they who they say they are? It's also easy to impersonate people online and create imposter sites or social media networks or social media accounts on social media networks. I believe I follow Darth Vader on Twitter. I'm not convinced he's a real person, but there's an account for him. Finally, are they reliable? Anybody can claim to be an expert online, so you need to make sure that there are good reasons to think that someone is a reliable source. Now, these days it's easy to make websites that look just as slick and professional as anything that's out there. In fact, some trustworthy sources may look less professional than fake websites because they haven't put time or money into updating the look and feel of their website. People who spread misinformation on purpose often invent local newspapers or TV news stations. And this kind of source seems trustworthy, but most of us aren't likely to have heard of a paper or a TV station in a different city or a different country. Now, here are 2 websites that claim to be from Sherbrooke, Quebec, the Times and the Record. At first glance, can you tell which one is real and which one is fake? Probably not. Both of them have an About Us section or a Contact Us page with a street and email address and the names of people who work there. But then all of these is easy to fake. So instead, you can go to Wikipedia and see if there's an article there about the Sherbrooke Record. By the way, you don't necessarily have to go to Wikipedia search. You can just put put any search term what you're looking for in and add Wikipedia. So you could type in Sherbrooke Record Wikipedia in the search bar of Google without having to go to the website directly.
I have a question, Jamie.
Yeah.
So in the past, I've been informed that Wikipedia is not a reliable source. Is that the truth, or is Wikipedia something that you can rely on?
Well, yeah, that's definitely a good question. And in the infancy of Wikipedia, where its purpose was to be an online crowd not crowdsourced or crowdfunded, but
Mm-hmm.
it is an open source platform that anybody can edit. And this is true. Anybody can go in with the wherewithal to, create credentials and log in
Mm-hmm.
and edit material if they wish. However,
Okay.
there is a huge number of volunteer administrators and volunteer moderators on Wikipedia, and their sole purpose is to ensure that the content that's on Wikipedia is accurate. And there are now built-in functions in Wikipedia that will say, the following article doesn't have enough sources for authentication.
Oh, okay.
We would like to have more sources.
Mm-hmm.
If you would like to contribute to this article, please do. What's more is that most, if not all, Wikipedia entries will have citations of the sources of information that they're using at the bottom, like footnotes in an essay that you've done in college or university.
Mm-hmm.
So you can actually backlink and click on the links and see where all the information is coming from that Wikipedia is using in their entry. And Wikipedia sometimes will say, hey, you know what, there's not enough information to make sure
Mm-hmm.
that this listing in our page is reliable. So, take it with a grain of salt. So if you're reading something on Wikipedia and you want to know where the sources of information are, all those links are in the references at the bottom of each entry.
Yeah, I've noticed that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. And so, it is a good question. And you have been told a lot of times, I'm sure, that Wikipedia, you probably certainly weren't able to use it when you were in school. You had to cite, reliable sources like books and authors and articles and that sort of thing. Well, Wikipedia has done a good job to make sure that they're using books and articles and authors as their original source material for that sort of thing.
Great. Yeah, thank you.
So in Wikipedia, in the article, we can see that the record has been around for more than a century in the history of the Sherbrooke record, and there's no reason to think that it isn't a reliable source. But how about the Times? That's a different story. There isn't an article about it in Wikipedia, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's not real. Wikipedia is written by volunteers, and so a lot of things don't have entries. There's not an entry about me. There's not an entry about, unfortunately, there's not an entry about community learning alternatives, but we could always add that if we wanted to. But, there's not entries about every single thing in Wikipedia. So in this case, there's no record of the Times. Instead, we can do a search on Google, and the only results we can find are that the website itself, its Twitter account, and articles pointing out that it's a fake. So it looks like, indeed, this website is a fake, because we can see right on page 1 of the search results that it is fake. Okay, so as we take a look at other aspects of verifying sources, it's easy to pretend to be somebody else online as well, not just another magazine or newspaper, but another person. So once you know that a source really exists, you need to find out if what you're looking for really came from them. So did Toronto police really put out a warning about a man in a Spider-Man costume webbing up streetcar lines? Some social networks like Twitter and Instagram verify users by putting a blue check mark next to their name. That doesn't mean that they're necessarily a reliable source, but it does mean that they are who they say they are. So in this case, it means that this is a real Toronto police account, which means that this story is true. So when you're looking on Twitter in particular, take a look for that blue check mark. And that means that that source or that account is really a verified account and it is coming from that person. It's a bit harder to make sure you're on the right website, however. Some people have made fake versions of real news websites like The Guardian and the CBC that look almost exactly like the real thing. But there are things that are harder to fake. A web address by itself won't tell you if the site is reliable. For instance, sites with a .org address aren't necessarily more trustworthy, but the web address can tell you if you're on the organization's real website. If you're satisfied that a source is real and it is who they say they are, you have to find out whether they're trustworthy. For sources of general information like newspapers, that means asking if they have a process for making sure that they're giving you good information and a good track record of doing it. This becomes important when you're looking at sources that aren't fake. that may give you only part of a story, or it could be just a summary. Or they may not have standards for making sure what they post is accurate. Supermarket tabloids come to mind when it comes to print versions of this type of thing. Unreliable sources sometimes do share things that are true, and even reliable sources can make mistakes. But in general, though, if you see a story from a source you know is reliable, you can assume that it's probably true. So let's look at another pair of newspapers. We've got the Washington Times and the Washington Post. They're both real newspapers, and neither one is entirely unreliable, but one is more reliable than the other. There are signs that you can look for to decide how reliable a news source is. How often do they make mistakes? If they do make mistakes, do they admit to them and publish corrections? Are they willing to publish things that their owners or their readers wouldn't agree with? If we look up the Washington Post on Wikipedia, we can see it's been around since 1877 and has won 47 Pulitzer Prizes for journalism. That's not, they're not perfect. They've published a few stories that turned out to be inaccurate, which they have retracted and corrected publicly. But overall, they do have a very good track record. The Washington Times has also been around for a long time, since 1982, but their track record isn't as good. Most of the Wikipedia article about the Times has times where they've spread misinformation about everything from the ozone layer to secondhand smoke. That doesn't mean that the Times is an entirely unreliable news source or that the Post never makes mistakes, but it does mean that most of the time you'll do a lot better trusting the Post than you would the Times. And for more specialized news sources, you want to ask whether there are experts or authorities on that topic. So if, being an expert is more than just being a doctor, a scientist, or a professor, though. So we have to make sure that they're an expert in the right field. A cardiologist, for example, would be an expert at treating your heart, but not on vaccines. So, a cardiologist might not be a good person to discuss vaccines with or to listen to when it comes to advice. For more specialized sources, you may want to ask whether, some sources, like certain professional groups or government agencies, are recognized authorities on that particular topic. And what they say carries more weight on any single expert in the field, and a lot more than a person or group who is an authority. So how do you know who's an authority? Remember, anyone can call themselves a university. Some other places can call themselves an institute on the internet, and they may not have an actual building. So again, you would need to actually take a look and do your own research, do a Google search, do a Wikipedia search, and see what you can find about what other people are saying about them. We're going to continue this topic tomorrow when we wrap up our 4-part series on media literacy skills. Thank you for joining us for our live stream today. Before we wrap up, Drew, are there any questions about kind of the material we've covered that you wanted to talk about before we close out for this morning?
I don't think I have any questions, Jamie. You've done a phenomenal job explaining everything in detail, and it's quite clear. I think verifying, making sure that an online source is reliable, are they trustworthy? I think all of these questions are really, really valuable questions that you should always be asking. Other than that, I don't have any questions. No, it's pretty clear for me, and hopefully it's clear for everybody else too.
Yeah, it really only takes a moment to open up a new tab in your browser, go to Google, go to Wikipedia, and type in a few words and figure it out for yourself. Find out for yourself who you want to trust and what you want to believe. Lateral reading, lateral research is what they call it. Yeah. Okay, that's it for today. Thanks, everybody. And we will be back tomorrow morning, 10 o'clock, with our final installment of Media Literacy Skills. Have a safe day on the internet and have a great day today. Take care. Bye.
Bye.